Welcome to the Peak Podcast. My name is Kyle Nelson, and as always, I've got my good buddy, co-host, and friend here, Mr. Eli Libby.
Hey, buddy.
What's
Happy
up?
Thursday
Happy
again.
Thursday, man.
It's a great day, man. Great day. On a scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling?
I'm feeling about a 9.
I'm feeling the same way. I was going to say 9.
Yeah, a 10. I'd be at a 10 if I was on a beach drinking Mai Tais right now, not in the snow here in Central Oregon.
That's true. Very true.
Love the snow, though. It's our first big dump of the year,
It
so
is the
it's very
first one.
magical.
It's awesome. Snowblower came out today, by the way.
Oh,
I busted mine out.
nice. Is
So
it a new
fun.
one?
No, it's the
Is it a
Ryobi
new
one.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Push it,
Yeah.
turn that thing on.
I'm sitting out there shoveling.
Yeah.
I'm a manual kind of guy. If you haven't been here yet, this is the Peak Podcast, where we have conversations with other coaches, business owners, consultants, and entrepreneurs to understand their aha moment, that peak moment when they found that they had something they wanted to bring to the world. And typically that was during a transitional period in their life, and there's a really good story behind that. We love hearing that story. And also, we are the founders of Peak Fulfillment. We offer a self-guided solo retreat program and mastermind where you go in complete solitude in a place of peace with our program and box. And you talk and you do a little inner talk, self-inner deep work about self-reflection, self-discovery, and vision crafting. But without further ado, let's bring on Jill Valdez, the founder of Link Consulting. Jill, welcome to the Peak Podcast.
Thank you. It is so great to be here today. I'm super excited to talk.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to get together in person sometime because we really are so close.
Yeah.
It would be awesome to have you down here. So, well, thank you again for being here. We like to kick it off with a little icebreaker to just shake it up. Let's break the ice, and we've been doing it based on holiday themes this whole last month. I'm gonna let you kick this one off because you had a really good one in the
yeah. No, I always like knowing what's the perfect white elephant gift.
Ooh. So for a while we were at an organization and there had been a white elephant gift that had been circulating for years. And it was this sketchy looking thing. It was like a China doll head, but it was a dragon. And then it had a cloth body. It was the weirdest thing ever.
Wow.
That was weird. But
that is a weird one. I think, take the cake.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know. The one that I've seen, we always did a big white elephant with my grandparents is my grandma got my stepdad this armband. It was this magnetic armband for tools and bolts and nuts and stuff like that. But we all were laughing and thinking it was really funny. We thought it was, great gift, great joke gift. But she was really serious. No, I got this for you. This is what I think. And it was the family joke for a long time. So maybe armband. What about you?
A glass white elephant.
Yep.
We like to bring that to the white elephant parties, and people always are like, "That's clever."
Nice, that is awesome.
Yeah,
well, awesome, Jill. Well, let's kind of kick it off. Before you were doing Link Consulting, what did the year before that look like for you?
Well, that's an interesting question. So the year before I actually launched Link Consulting was back in 2017. I had just left full-time ministry and I was kind of figuring out what I was going to be doing next. I had, and so I was finishing up my master's degree in industrial organizational psychology.
Wow.
And was the associate director of HR at a digital media company. And really it's the president of that company who he kicked me out of the nest and he said, you need to go start your own agency. And that's how this whole thing got started.
Jeez, what an amazing leader.
No kidding.
To kick you out, to go out and do your own thing.
Absolutely.
Wow. Those people in their lives, I look back because you can only really connect the dots backwards. So I always think about those transformational people in our lives and in my life that have set me on the path. And I always think of just like guardrails to a bowling lane, just bouncing around.
Yeah.
And these people in my life have always done that. And to your point, that person kicked you out of the nest. Now you're here today.
Yeah. Yeah. There, we have, if we do, I love that you talked about that. When we look back, I look back and there's some really pivotal moments that I wouldn't be where I am today had those all happened. Like when I was pastoring, I was part of an organization and they were like, hey, we want to certify a few people as life coaches so that they can then do coaching for pastors. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, I'm all in on that. I don't know what it is, but I'm all in on that. And that, again, that trajectory got me also to where I'm at today, because that's a core fundamental piece of what I do is coaching. Yeah.
So how did the creation of Leak Consulting kind of become? You got kicked out of the nest. It's like, go do your own thing. Why Link Consulting? Why aligning organizations, team success? Why is that your thing?
Because we spend so much time at work, and I fully believe that everybody should be living their life on purpose, and that in whatever we do in our life, that we should be thriving. Does not mean that life is perfect all the time and it's glorious and wonderful all the time, but we should still be in a place where we are thriving. And so that comes from when I was pastoring, all my staff were volunteers. I didn't get to motivate them with a paycheck. So I learned about employee engagement without actually knowing it was employee engagement. And so that's what I bring to companies is, how do you truly stand as a leader and set your people up for success? How do you bring out the best in them? Because when you do that as a leader, when your team is thriving, everybody's happy. Like,
Sure.
It's just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, man, that is so powerful.
Well, what an interesting way of getting into that, where everyone that was helping out at your church, I assume, were employees. I mean, they weren't employees, but you had to look at employee engagement.
Yeah.
Get them
So cool.
to help them own it, and not only that, but just like how to give back and how to create a culture where they feel welcomed and they feel like they're a part of something that's more really cool.
Yeah, because if they didn't show up, I mean, it wasn't like I could say, "Oh, you're not getting paid." It was, "Oh, I'm either having to do it, or I'm going to have to pull somebody else to do it who's probably not the right person to do it."
Man.
So.
Go ahead.
My brain's going now. I know we're kind of starting to shift in a direction. So this is good. So I'm the board president at my kids' school, and I work with a lot of volunteers, but I've never, I've took leadership. I've took a lot of leadership courses and seminars and been CEO of companies, all this stuff. But I've never looked at how to actually organizationally work with volunteers and thinking of it as employee engagement, because it's so hard, as I'm sure you know, to keep volunteers motivated and to keep them moving. So you just right here.
You have a light. I saw that little light bulb.
Yes, you really inspired me just now to think of it differently like that. That's really awesome.
Wow. 10? Are we at a 10 yet?
I'm at a 10.
Whoa. No.
Good. That's never hit me, because we're always battling this conversation of how do you keep the volunteers going? But if you build a culture around the volunteers and not just focus on the organization and employees there. Anyways,
it's the same thing with employees and businesses.
Right.
When you set them up in a position that they love or that they're good at, as opposed to just a slot.
Yes.
And you show them how much they make an impact, and that when they're not there, that it's detrimental. Like, there are serious consequences. We have loss when a person's not there.
Right.
And when you're intentional about making sure that you've got the right people in the right roles on the right bus.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a win. And it is easier to keep people, both employees and volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We are very passionate about culture. Every business that we've started together, culture is always the root of it. And we had a really cool business prior to the program we lead now, where the whole staff was buzzing around the culture that we built.
Yeah.
And it was in the photography video world. And that's typically a very freelancer style business, but they could have gone anywhere. They were getting paid good. It was security, but they loved the culture that we were able to build. In your eyes, and that's kind of pause there, but that's kind of evolved into what we have been doing now. And I think I mentioned our corporate wellness program, but we'll talk about that after. In your eyes, what makes an ideal picture perfect culture? What is what are the ingredients for a good culture? Throw it in the oven. What's going to make it good?
First and foremost, it has to be real, and it actually has to be a culture that is livable.
Okay.
I I worked for a company, definitely won't say which one, and they bragged about their culture and they bragged about their core values. And like, I mean, it was top of mind for every conversation, but they could not be further from living them if they tried.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So culture has to be not only, well, this is what we say the culture is, but this is how we are actually living it out. That is fundamental to successful culture. And as far as the other pieces, it has to be real, genuine, authentic, but also something that allows people to grow and to breathe and contribute to.
I love that last word, contribute to. How are ways that employees can contribute to a positive culture?
Well, when they come into an organization, hopefully they're able to understand what the culture is before they come in, and it aligns with who they are. So then when they're going into that, then if you have a good culture, then you have it where people are able to grow and to bring their own self to that. And so that's how they bring that to culture. That's how they contribute is, okay, I might be this, and I might be like this piece of the culture to, maybe at a level 3, but as I continue to grow and develop in this company, then that's going to grow to a level 5. And maybe if I'm really in a good place, and if I'm a person who wants to grow myself and is investing in myself, I'm going to find areas where I can even make it even better, and being able to bring that to the team and bringing that to the company and saying, hey, we talk about this as a part of our culture. This is something that I discovered on my own self journey. Is this something that we can bring in and make a part of what we're all doing collectively?
So cool.
Yeah. How, I think one thing about, a good positive culture is typically the communication and making sure everybody's on the same page at all times. There's transparency, there's clarity of roles. Where do you find communication usually gets like the roadblock with most cultures? Because I feel like once you see communication dropping, that's when you see toxicity entering, and like it just starts to kind of crumble. Because the communication is no longer, yes, exactly, no longer kind of there.
Yeah. So the assumption that communication is actually happening, that's when everybody just thinks, oh, it's automatically happening, and nobody's taking into consideration how to effectively communicate with other people. That's when the problem comes in.
Totally.
I was going to say, what have you guys found? What has been your experience? I mean, you talk to people all the time. Like, what are the other people? What do they say?
We have a mentor that once told us that when people go silent, they grow horns. And that was profound for me, because it's so true. If you are a leader or just someone on the team that is silent for a while, especially in a remote world,
yes,
everyone else starts thinking they're growing horns, like, oh, I did something wrong, they're not talking to me, or they're up to something, there's something going on. People just create stories and scenarios in their head. And so I think I don't think over communication is always healthy, but I do think even letting people know that you don't have something, like let's like always keep a stream of communication is really important. That's what I have found, and not go silent, because when you go silent, you grow horns.
Go ahead, Joe. Were you going to comment on that one?
When you go silent, if I'm silent, nobody knows what's inside my head. Right. And it could be that I've got something going on in my personal life that has just, taken my focus. It could be I'm thinking about our next new venture in the company and what I want to do and how I want to contribute. There's a bazillion different reasons why. But if I'm not talking about it, then nobody's going to know. And then we start getting into assumptions.
Yeah.
And that becomes the communication mode. And we all know about that.
Yep. Exactly. I think there's, we've heard, at least from the people we've interacted with, both ends of the spectrum, with too much communication where your people are not getting things done and they feel micromanaged. So I think there's a really fine balance. But the remote culture has got to be fascinating for you. Like, how was that transition in the stuff you've done? Like, how did you see remote culture play out like during COVID a couple of years ago?
So I actually was involved in remote work before COVID. I was working for a company and they were all in office for the most part. They had 2 people that were remote, and then I moved out of state.
Got it.
And I was like, well, I guess this is it. And the guy was like, no, I'm going to figure out how to keep you. And so literally they took a big TV and they put it over my old desk.
Oh, wow.
And we just had a Teams room open. And so I was, as if I was in the office, so I could still hear what was going on. They could come up and they could talk to me whenever they wanted. It was pretty cool. But that started the journey and the thinking through about how do you keep a team that is spread out all over the place? How do you keep them engaged? How do you stay connected? That takes intentionality. That takes intentionality by the team. So, not that you have to go all Google or Apple and be like, hey, we're going to, have Fridays are going to be this, half day, and we're going to spend the rest of the day talking with everybody. There's lots of different, but there are options on how you do that. You can bring people together as a team. But again, it's that intentionality of saying, I want to make sure that we're staying connected. I want to make sure that you feel and know that we are all a team. We're not just working in our isolated offices all day long and doing our own thing and not having any impact on anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool.
What are some of the larger issues that some of your clients bring to you? Like when they start working with you, is there like common things that you kind of find that most companies at the end of the day are in need of? Is it typically more like unique and like very like different, or is it kind of pretty much just like commonly like these are the issues, and I just have to see and understand who's who and place it all together?
Yeah. The common issue that I face, it's very cold in my downstairs office, and my nose runs when I'm cold. Sorry.
You're totally good. No, you're good.
The common issues that I see is small businesses, they start out because they are passionate about the service that they're providing. It keeps growing. The owner tends to be so focused on growing the business. And again, happy at being able to provide the service to as many people as they are. But because they're not trained typically on then how to scale the business and how to bring people along to help them scale the business, they get bogged down in the daily operations. They're bogged down in the drama of their team because maybe they didn't make good hires. And so they've got people working together who are maybe not so great working together. There's just overwhelming stuff. And so commonly what I hear is, I feel like my business is running me instead of me running my business.
I've heard that too.
And so when that happens, then it's okay, well, then let's take a look at what's going on. There's typically some operational adjustments that we can make.
Yep.
There's definitely people things that we look at. Do you have the right people? Are they in the right roles?
Sure.
Are they trained? Do they know what they're supposed to be doing? Is there that communication and cohesion? And then what is the clear path for business success going forward, where it's not all dependent on the business owner, and where it includes holding people accountable, having a team that is fully bought into the work that's being done, having clarity about what it is that's supposed to be done and who it is that's going to be doing it.
So true. We've heard a lot of those similar things. A lot of those similar things. So it's amazing work you do.
Thank you. Well, Jill, as we kind of wrap things up, we kind of get towards the end of this. If there's one thing that you hope that our audience can kind of take away from this conversation and from you, what would it be?
You don't have to do it alone. And it does not matter where you're at in your journey. There is always a way forward that can keep you from feeling like you're stuck in a cycle of helplessness and hopelessness. That success that you're looking for, that desire for a committed team and for a great business, that is all very attainable.
So motivating.
And if people wanted to connect with you and get involved or had questions, where could they find you?
Yeah, for one, they can find me on LinkedIn. I'm hang out there pretty much a lot. And then they can go to consulting.info. And if they go there, they'll click up on the top, and because there is a link there for them to download my free ebook. It's called Confident Leadership: How to Be a Confident Leader of a Committed Team, Providing Stellar Service. The title is longer than the book. Yes.
Jill, thank you so much for your time. That was an awesome conversation. We appreciate it.
Oh, I enjoyed it so much. Thank you.
So cool. Man,
I love that kind of work.
It is amazing work. I love seeing your light bulb in that combo.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't.
On our podcast. That was like, my gosh.
Oh yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah.
Such good insight.
It was. Well, thank you so much for joining us and coming along on this episode of the Peak Podcast. If you want to hear great thought leaders just like Jill, make sure to subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen to them. And we can't wait to have you along on the next episode of the Peak Podcast.
See you guys.